Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Throughout these next weeks, we are going to be starting a series called Ventrac Limited. We're essentially going to take the 4520n and convert it into what I call the limited edition model. You know how you can buy vehicles now that are top of the line, they have all of the features? Well, that's the goal for this series. So to make your Ventrac a limited model, we're gonna have to start out with the basic upgrades that you get from factory. Doing these upgrades essentially turn your tractor, your 4520, into a pro model. The 5 upgrades from factory are a foot pedal, your dual auxiliary hydraulics, your third function hydraulics, a relief valve, and also a 12 volt. Doing these 5 upgrades from factory will basically allow you to run almost all of Ventrac's attachments. I also got these dual wheels installed to give me better traction on hillsides. And the last and final upgrade I did myself is install this GoPro with this carbon fiber mount, and I ran power cable through the roll bar into the power supply down here. This allows me to run my GoPro basically non-stop, and it's mounted pretty high up so I can get a really nice high shot if I want to. Before you order this exact Canopy kit from Ventrac, do be in mind that when you do install this one, you lose the capability of dropping your roll bar. That might matter if you are trying to park your Ventrac in a tight space where you don't have a lot of headroom, so you need to drop your roll bar. When you install a Canopy, you're losing that ability, all right? So keep that in mind. So what we're gonna do first is take these pins out and remove the hardware from the roll bar. We also have these rubber stops with 1/2-inch screws that need to be removed on both sides. Up next, we grab our 5/16 by 1.5 inch bolts and take a 5/16 flange nut and essentially thread it on backwards like that. Do that to both. In the hardware bag, you're also going to have these roll bar lock plates. And what you're going to do is insert another 5/16 flange nut inside. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a challenge to get that with your fingers. So take a small rubber mallet and just give it a good tap. You're going to need 2 of these. There we go. Take that 5/16 screw and install everything like so. We're gonna be about there. Now, in order to install this bracket plate here, we're gonna have to remove the current hardware from the roll bar. And we're gonna start from the right side. Use a 3/4 inch socket and a 3/4 inch wrench. Take the plate, place it on like so, and now take that same screw and align everything back up. We're going to add a 1/2-inch washer. Instructions were a bit confusing, so I think I am doing this correctly. We're going to install essentially a 1/2-inch washer right between all of the plates there. We're still left with a pretty good gap. There we go, that's a lot better. Don't forget about your flange nut on the back side, and you do not want to tighten this bolt up. Just tighten it by hand and you should be good. Next, we're going to install the bottom bolt. Now, as you can see, this 1/2 inch is 1 inch by 3/4. That's what we installed in the middle. We're going to install the 1/2 inch by 1.25 inch on the bottom. Now, we do need some washers. We're going to put one here, here, and I think that's it. This next part is going to be different for everybody. See how my plates kind of flange out a little bit? I guess it's just the way the plates were welded, and so everybody's gap is going to be different. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch by 1.75 inch bolt, add a 1/2 inch washer with a combination of 4 more 1/2 inch washers plus a super thick one that they included in the hardware pack. It's going to allow me to close that gap up pretty good. Now I can take my flange nut and just hand tighten it. On this side, we're gonna take our 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 inch hex bolt and install it. But before we do, we need to close the gap up right here. So I'm going to add a 1/2 inch washer to that gap and push the bolt all the way through. Another thing to note and to not forget is to use the lock nuts, not the flange nuts. So there's a couple different ones in the hardware packet that you get. Use the lock nut on the front, not on the backs. The backs all have the flange. Use the lock one up front. And then this one does not need to be torqued down. You just simply tighten it until it is snug. The instructions don't say anything about this gap here and that gap there, so don't worry about it. The next thing we need to do is take this hex bolt and thread it all the way up until essentially hitting the top of this plate here and fully tight. And I would not recommend using an impact. Just get yourself a ratchet with a 1/2 inch socket and tighten it up snug. Now take a 1/2 inch wrench and tighten up. There we go. So per instructions, it says we are okay with torquing these back ones down to 75 foot-pounds. Pretty long torque wrench here. So we're gonna repeat the same exact steps on the left side, adding the plate, all of the screws, and filling the gaps. Up next, we need to secure this top plate on the top. And in order to do that, we need to remove all of our accessories. This right here, and I believe we should be good. We are not good. We're going to run the wire first inside of the hole and then place this carefully flat like that. Should hold itself in, but we're going to install the bolts. And you can loosely just install them, hand tighten them, just so everything holds in place. Do the same thing on this side here. The top U-bolts are a little bit different. What you're gonna do is grab your U-bolt, and to the left of this mounting point here, you're going to drop the U-bolt in. And actually on this plate here, there's a section, a cutout, where the U-bolt will fit nicely. What you're gonna do next is, if you are going to be running rear work lights, you're gonna have plates like these. And these plates, the tail side is gonna be facing the back of your Ventrac. And I'll show you that here in a minute. So there's the cutout I'm talking about. As you can see, I got the bolt inside of that cutout in the front. And then on the back, see this tab right here? That tab has to line up with the bottom plate opening to run rear work lights. You're gonna do the same thing on the right side. The next step calls for torquing down all of your 8 lock washers, and you do have to center this plate, this top plate. And what I'm using is the rubber opening piece here, or the hole, which if you don't have the rubber piece, use that to line up the center and find the center of the bracket. And then you want to torque these down to like 35 foot-pounds. I'm not going to use my 1/2 inch torque wrench, that's all I have. So what I'm gonna do is go by feel. What am I doing? We're living in the 21st century. We got battery powered ratchets now. Yow! I don't know if these ones matter or not. If I'm installing work lights, these ones ought to be loose to line up the holes. So honestly, I think it's just these ones. Come on, man. All right, next is the support arm, guys. We're gonna use our 1/2 inch by, let me get this correctly, 1.75 inch, and these arms are actually gonna be mounted on the outside like that. And then you take your locking nut You should have lots of them. And just tighten it, but don't tighten it. Same thing on this side. And don't forget your fender washers. They are the ones that are wide like that. All right, guys, pay close attention here. Now, these plates have two sets of holes. You're either gonna be using the lower one or the upper one. For taller operators, I suggest using the upper ones so your canopy sits about an inch higher. This will allow you to have more headroom. I'm over 6 foot, I'm 6'2". Just play it safe. Go for the ones that are higher. Having a helper here is ideal. I'm soloing this whole install, so I'm gonna lift this, carry it over, have actually my bolts ready. Watch this. 2 bolts, 2 locking flange nuts, and 2 fender washers. I'm using the steering wheel to kind of pivot everything. Whew. There's one. Do this at your own risk. Get a helper, guys. Don't be dumb like me. I'm just showing you that it can be done. Next, we're gonna install the support arms. Now, if you look carefully, you're gonna have a set of 2 holes. The front ones are for the people that used the lower mounting bracket holes. For the people that used the higher ones, like I did, and that I suggested you do, you're gonna use this back hole, okay? We're gonna use our last long, I think these are 2 1/2 inch hex bolts. We're gonna grab our fender washer, install it like that, and then have your lock nut ready. Bring this arm up, and you're essentially going to line everything up. Use your head for support. If you're tall, this will work. And wait until the bolt drops. There we go. Hey, it works. And repeat the same thing on this side. All right, now all is left is to essentially tighten everything up to spec. Remember those flange bolts or flange nuts? They say 31 foot-pounds. We're just going to tighten them up, honestly, with a ratchet and wrench. Don't be worried about, 31 foot-pounds, it needs to be exact. Not these ones. I mean, you're not cracking any metal. If you over tighten, you're not really ruining anything. You need a smaller torque wrench. Use what you got. Even if you go to Harbor Freight, I got this Quinn one from Harbor Freight. You go and get the clicker style. They'll work as well. Boy, this one sure's got a long way to go. What I will do to speed up the process is tighten everything up by hand first. 75 foot-pounds. Yep. And just make sure that everything is snug and secure. So there you go, guys. That is how you install a canopy on your Ventrac 4520. Again, I'm 6'2", and I just hit this top bar, but that's me standing up. So let's see, if I'm sitting, I can still smack my head on this back bar here. That was the same before we installed these plates. I still noticed that I had a tendency of sometimes going in reverse and not knowing where this bar is, and I smacked my head a couple times, but that's all right. I have a ton of clearance, ton of headroom, probably like maybe a foot and a half of clearance. Now remember, we are building out a limited model 4520. So that means we are going to be installing a fan kit. We're going to be installing work lights, strobe kits, and much more. So we are not done, but at least we got the canopy installed. And I hope you enjoyed that walkthrough. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments down below. What I also will include is the manual installation pages for you guys at the end of this video, so you can pause it, screenshot, zoom in, and read the instructions yourselves. But I hope I was clear enough for you not to do that. It's a good source of information for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the fan installation, the light installations. Those are all gonna be separate videos. Take care, God bless you, and we'll see you in the next one.